this podcast. Thank you guys for your continued support. Really appreciate it. Please continue to share the videos, like the videos, subscribe if you're not already. And if you're interested in helping support the podcast, links are in the description. Thank you to all my Patreon members. Thank you to anybody that's joined the channel. I really appreciate it. And thank you to anybody that shared the videos and all of that. I want to do a moment of silence for somebody specific that passed recently in the survivor community. I'm just going to say her first name, Kelsey, so rest in peace to you. I'm going to do a moment of silence for her, and then a moment of silence for also for people that might be struggling with intrusive thoughts or addiction or anything like that. So on the count of three, I'm going to do a moment of silence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for that. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went and what year.
Okay, my name is Nick. Last name is Troda. I went to CEDU Middle School in 1993, and I graduated in 1995.
Okay, and walk us through your childhood a little bit and what led up to you being sent away.
Oh man, I'll try to summarize it for you guys. I was born in Chicago in 1981. Where to go from there? Well, one of the first things I kind of remember, I guess it's kind of what got me started off on the wrong foot, I guess. When I was like 3 or 4, I found out my mom had a disease called multiple sclerosis. And over the course of like the next 5 years, I watched her slowly die. She finally passed away when I was 9. And shortly after that, my dad remarried, and he married a lady that already had 2 kids. And we kind of joined families together, and I was living out, we moved more into closer to downtown Chicago, and was living there with them for about a year. And then about a year after that, my dad passed away. He had a brain aneurysm. And then was kind of stuck at a point where no one really knew what to do with me and my sister. I had a sister too. It's part of my immediate family. It's just me, my mom, my dad, and my sister was the immediate family. And no one really knew what to do with us. My stepmom didn't want to take both of us. She said she didn't want to take either one of us. So my guardians on my mom, or my uncles on my mom's side, stepped up, and one of them took my sister to Pennsylvania, and the other one took me out to California. So when I moved out to California with them, obviously, like kid that just went through some hard stuff. I wasn't really adjusting well to the new family. Didn't really feel like I was really one of them. And my aunt was kind of mean. She had her own problems that she was dealing with too. She just had a miscarriage, so I feel like she was kind of on tilt. And me and her got in a fight one day, and she said something that really made me mad. She said something about like my parents being disgraced by me, and they were turning their graves or something. That really upset me. So I decided to run away from school. And after I ran away from school, I ran away from, as after the end of school, I sold some fancy cross-color shorts there, like these designer clothes back in the 90s. And I sold some shorts. I probably made like $50 off of them or something. And me and my friend went to the mall. We spent half of that on some video games, and then wandered around the rest of the night, took the bus over to another city, ended up being like 2 a.m, turned myself into some cops, and then got picked up from my uncle at the station, and he took me to, I don't want to call it a mental hospital, but it's like a rehab center for people that, like, most of the kids that were there were dealing with like drug addiction, and they were getting in trouble with the law, gang problems and stuff. I remember we had like a morning meeting, and they're asking me why the heck I was there, and I told them I ran away, and they were just looking at me all confused because I was a lot younger than all the rest of them that were there. I stayed there for about 2 weeks, and then I got transferred over to another one of those mental hospitals or rehab places. And this time, when I got transferred over to that one, when my uncle came and picked me up from the other one, he didn't say anything about me going to this new place. I thought I was going home. We went to McDonald's and I asked him if I could go to this one church group that was always on Fridays, and I wanted to see my friends that I hadn't seen for a while. And he's like, yeah, sure, we'll go that. And then all of a sudden we're driving somewhere and there's forest and just didn't look like the direction we were supposed to be going. And then we pull up in some place and it says like CPC Brea, and obviously looks like another place that I was just like the last place I was at. So I got sent there, and obviously I was pretty upset. I was yelling all sorts of profanities at my uncle and all the staff members over there. I remember they put me in, they had like a padded room, but they didn't like shoot me up or drug me up or anything. I started acting a little bit better when I realized what kind of a situation I was in. And I was there for about a month and a half, and I always made sure when I talked to my therapist or my psychiatrist, I'd say all sorts of crazy shit. So I was really angry, and I didn't want to go back home. I didn't want to go back with my aunt and uncle for sure. So during my time over there, my whole family was really trying to figure out what the heck to do with me. All the other kids in the family are really good, really well behaved, do well in school, but I've always been that one that like to let everyone know how I was feeling, like lots of temper tantrums, throwing stuff, yelling and stuff. And then I remember they took me to a group home. They didn't like that place for me. And then they told me that they found a place as a boarding school up in the mountains. They didn't tell me what the name was or anything. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like any of it, as long as I don't have to go back home with you guys. So that's where the whole CEDU story starts. My uncle picked me up with his best friend and his best friend's son, and he drove in his brown Dodge Caravan real slow all the way up the mountain. And we finally got to the campus, and my first impression of the campus when I looked at it was just gorgeous. It's up in the mountains, big basketball court and all this stuff. And then I wasn't really tripping or nothing at that point. And then, as you've heard other students say, they take you on the tour, and as they take you on the tour, they start breaking down what the rules are. Oh, you can't do this, and all I wanted to do was I didn't care about, like, I was kind of pissed off about hearing the music rules and having to have your shirt tucked in and not being able to wear this and that. That kind of stuff kind of bothered me. But the shit that really sent me over the top was when they told me I couldn't talk to my friends. Like my friends were all I had. Like I hated my family at that point, and I just that was those were the only people I trusted, though. That's like my only connection. And when they told me that I couldn't talk to my friends until I progressed up this ridiculous level system, I kind of lost it, and I started throwing on another temper tantrum in the admissions office. They just kind of shooed my uncle away. I just remember him saying as he walked out the door, he was telling me, "Just give it a chance, Nick. Just give it a chance." And then he left, and I remember I was crying and screaming. Jill Benz was, I think you've heard her name before. She's married to that guy, Rudy Benz. She's sitting in the office with me, and she's lecturing me about something. I can't remember exactly what she's saying. It's just in one ear, out the other. And then they brought me into, like, after I calmed down a little bit, I don't know if I remember them threatening me or anything. There wasn't any strip search like there was with the high school, thank God. They were like, the middle school, in my opinion, was is like a watered down high school. Like a lot of the same is based on the same stuff, but they turn down the intensity maybe by like 2 or 3 clicks, just because they're dealing with younger kids, and it'd be ridiculous to make them stay up over 12 hours, like 24 hours for a freaking prof feed or shit like that. So yeah, they introduced me to everyone in school, and yeah, I remember my first roommate was a guy named Gabe from Texas, and all the kids were nice. I didn't not get along with anyone there. Yeah, that's how I ended up over there. I don't know what you want to ask me next.
Okay. What do you remember about your first day there? You kind of went over a little bit of it, but what do you remember about?
I remember the tour. I remember when Gabe was taking me on the tour, and I remember when he told me what the rules were, and that's when I started getting pissed off. And then I remember going back to the admissions office. Between the admissions office, and the rest of the day, it's pretty hazy. I can't remember it too clearly. I do remember dinner. I don't remember what we ate. I remember I didn't like it that much. And I remember we'd hang out in this one building is called the Summit Building. It's like the main building where we had all of our activities, and it was a 1-story building. Like right when you come through the front gates of CEDU is the second building on your right hand side. I remember we hung out there the rest of the night. They made me hang out with some of the other kids, and some of the other kids were telling me their life story, and they made me tell my life story to them. And yeah, that's basically what the first day was. Then we went back up to the rooms and went to sleep. Woke up early as hell the next day. Remember they'd rush us in the showers. They're telling us like we have like limited water, and we're only supposed to take like 3 to 5 minute showers.
Okay.
That's basically my first day, I guess.
Okay. And then you got a buddy that was Gabe, right? Was that?
Yeah, he was the person that moved me in.
Were you assigned like a buddy to show you the rules and stuff?
Yeah. That's basically what it is. What were they called? I don't remember what they're called. They didn't really refer to him as a big brother, but he was a dorm head in the room that we're in. He was on a higher level than me. I think he's on like level 2 or level 3.
Okay. How long after you got there did it take for things to fully sink in and for you to be like, where the fuck am I?
I mean, they kind of sunk in pretty quick because I had already been put in these other 2 places right before this. So yeah, I really realized what my situation was. Like, I mean, to me, is basically like, this is going to be what it is for now, and until whoever the authority is thinks I'm behaving well enough to go back home and try to start living life with my family again, or my adopted family, my uncle.
Okay. And how long after you got there did they give you your first phone call to your parents?
Maybe a week. Maybe it's within the week. Yeah, it's probably within the week that I talked to my uncle or something. But I wasn't I wasn't like too eager to talk to him though. Like I was still pretty freaking pissed at him. Didn't want to talk to really any of my family, honestly.
Yeah. Were you but you were forced to talk to your family, right?
Yeah. And there's someone sitting there looking at the call, but they never had that problem with me, with them having to like hang up or me trying to say something to them. Like I feel like I more or less just kind of accepted the situation I was in. I didn't cause a lot of problems while I was there. I looked at it logically. After a couple of kids ran away when I first got there, they get caught and they get brought back, and it's kind of seemed hopeless. And I'd see the punishments that people would get put on. So I just kind of kept my head down and followed the rules, and it worked out for me for the most of the time. It worked out for me. I mean, comes to a point where you're not getting in trouble and they'll just make something up and do that kind of a thing to you. But for the most part, I stayed out of trouble while I was there. I didn't get sent to a cent. I got put on a table once. I could tell you that story later. I got put on a table once for something that wasn't even my fault. Yeah.
Okay. And how long were you there total?
2 years and 1 month. I got there in June of 1993, and I left in July of 1995.
Okay. And did you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated. I was moving up the level system pretty quick. And then maybe a little over a year, after being there a little over a year, my peer group completely dissipated. I was the only one left from my peer group. So they had to push me back and have me restart, like, what's it called? Redo a couple of profits with the newer peer group. By that time, I had already done the truth and the children's. Then my peer group dissipated, so I had to go back and do the truth and the children's again.
Okay. Your peer group would be your family?
Peer group is just, there are two different families. There's the Summit family and the Pinnacle family. And the peer group is just, you could be on either family. It's just kids that were admitted around the same time.
Okay. How was the food there?
Most of the time is really bad. I remember when they would make they'd make macaroni and cheese. Like, we used to have, there's a farm there for a little while, and we used to have to clean up the shit for the animals. And I swear to God, dude, like, they'd make this fucking macaroni and cheese, and it smelled exactly like the fucking sheep's pen, man. I've never touched that shit. I hated it. But every now and then they do stuff, like they do hamburgers. The burgers weren't the best burgers you ever had in your life, but they're better than, some of the other stuff that they'd serve you. What did I like when it has hamburgers, tacos. The tacos were okay. It's hard to mess up tacos, like hard shell tacos, American style ones. And then there was this one thing, I don't know if you've heard about it, but there was this peanut butter granola that they'd make over at CEDU. And I still crave that shit to this day, man. Like, everything else was pretty gross, but I have good memories of the peanut butter granola that they would serve on Sundays over at the high school when we'd go there for brunch. Yeah, that stuff was pretty good.
Okay. What happened with the people who ran? What do you remember about those?
I was talking to my friend about this recently, actually. So my picture of what happened is, anytime someone would run away, they'd always get caught. And I can remember a couple of instances where someone ran away, and then I'd see them, a couple of days later, in the Alpine building for breakfast with some scary guy sitting right next to them. That's what happened a couple of times, but there were times where kids would run away and they didn't come back. We never see them back at the school, but the staff members would tell us, "Oh, we caught them, and they made it all the way over to LA or some far distance." And they would tell us, "Yeah, we caught them, but we ended up having to send them away, or their parents wanted to send them to something a little bit stricter." So at that time, that's why I believed. So that's why I tell everyone else about people running away and stuff like that. It's hopeless. Like, they catch you all the time. But as I reflect on it now and look back on it, I think maybe they did catch some of the kids, but the other ones probably did get all the way back home. Their parents just didn't want to put them back in the program, but they're not going to tell us that.
Yeah.
So I think they just told us and said that, yeah, we caught them just to scare us and make it seem like it's a hopeless endeavor.
Okay. What was the procedure when somebody would run? What would happen on the facility? Would you guys be put on silence? Would you guys?
No. They usually just handle it individually. From what I remember is if someone would run, there wasn't like a group punishment for us when someone would run. They just try to deal with that individually. Depending on how long ago the student ran, sometimes they chase after them on foot, or they'd send someone in a car. And if it was serious, where like, oh, we don't know where they went, then they'd send some kind of private investigator. After listening to some of these other podcasts, I hear the name Bill Lane brought up a lot. He did like a transport service, and I guess they used him to retrieve kids when they'd run away too. But I never met him personally or anything.
Okay. Do you remember if it was just staff that would chase after them, or if students would chase after too sometimes?
No, I don't remember students ever chasing after, at least not in the middle school. They'd never have us kids chase after them if they ran. There was an instance where they had us search the campus when someone ran, or they thought someone ran, or they told us someone ran. They had me. I remember me, and then there's another kid. I don't remember who the other kid was that they had, but they had us run around and look around campus for him.
Okay. And how old were you when you were there?
So that was from the end of 6th grade till the end of 8th grade. So somewhere around like 11 till 13 or something, 11 or 12 to 14 or something like that.
Okay, so were there different like were there different tiers to the CEDU? Like was there middle school I guess I'm kind of confused because you said you're in the middle school one.
Yes. Okay, so there's a middle school and there's a high school. The high school
Okay.
was obviously high school kids and stuff. That's the one that like your other guests, Michael and
And Carrie
I
and all
forget.
that.
Yeah, Carrie. I
Okay.
actually remember Michael. To tell you the truth, I remember him pretty well. I never talked to him or anything, but I remember when I first got there, me and some of the other kids there would all see him and like, dude, what the fuck is this guy on work assignments for again, man? Like all the time, never failed, dude. Like he's always out there with a wheelbarrow or chopping some shit down or something. It's like, dang, dude, like ruthless to this poor guy.
Yeah, I remember hearing his story. I remember he he just couldn't catch a break for a while. It's fucked up. Okay, so I don't know if I've interviewed somebody from the middle school yet.
I don't
So
think so. I don't think so,
yeah.
man.
Um what were the like did you see many differences between the middle school and the high school version of CEDU?
Uh, I mean, it's just all word of mouth. But yeah, there were some weird things I'd see the high school kids doing and stuff that we didn't do in the middle school. Um,
Did you guys do the smushing?
yeah, we did do the smushing.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's weird, to say the least about it. Especially when you're kid going through puberty and there's some girl that you like, all close to you, right next to you and stuff. It's like, what the heck, man? Like, I'm not supposed to feel this way, but oh, I guess I'm out of agreement right now for my thoughts or some shit. Yeah, it's weird. What are the differences between the high school and the middle school that I've noticed, like from then and also now, is just way more intense for them. Like their raps sounded insane. Like I remember there'd be times when we'd be playing at the basketball court or we'd be playing on the football field and you could literally hear them fucking yelling all the way from the high school, like just echoing and shit, screaming, crying. And, and it just became normal. Like the first couple times a year, it's like, oh, what the fuck? But yeah, after being in school for a while, it just became like normal to hear that kind of a thing. Um, the smushing or the affection that was shown between the high school kids was definitely different. Um,
Different
and
how?
well, before I say anything, like I'm not trying to offend anyone who has whatever sexuality. Um, but you're a kid and you're not used to seeing this stuff, and you walk into the high school, like so here's the scenario. It's like 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening. You're going to high school on a Sunday afternoon for dinner, and everyone's supposed to dress up nice. Have a collared shirt, dress pants, dress shoes, set a dinner appointment with someone, and then you wait for them to call you and let you know it's okay to go in and eat. And when you're waiting in the main room of the high school. There's a fire pit with a big circular couch around it, and a lot of high school students in there. And I remember, like, we'd go in there, and me and some of my friends would always look at the high school boys and be like, what the heck are these guys doing, dude? Like, there'd be two guys sitting with each other, like super close, arm around the other one, petting their head and stuff. And their legs are like interlocked with each other. Like this guy would have his leg over that one while the other one was petting him. And it's just so confusing to me. I was like, well, you're not supposed to do stuff like this with girls, like, but then you want us to do this stuff with guys, and you're saying it's not sexual, but I don't know, man. That looks the way it looked to me when just as a kid too is like, dude, that looks like some pretty sensual petting that they're doing with each other. And I remember there would be middle school kids that are super impressionable, and when we would have our relaxing nights over in the Summit building, there would be some middle school kids that would copy that behavior and stuff. Staff members wouldn't tell them to do that, but me and some of the other kids would be like, dude, what the heck is up with that, man? Like, it's just weird to us. That was one of the differences. And yeah, the punishments look super fucking extreme. Like, there's one guy, not just Michael, there's another guy that they told him to, it's actually Carrie's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
They had him working on this stump. It was right in front of the girls' dorm, I think, between the girls' dorm and admissions building. And there's this huge fucking stump. And this guy had to fucking dig all the way in, and you couldn't even see his head anymore, you know, like he is way the fuck in there, man. And I remember the day that he actually got this stump out. Me and a couple of other kids were playing basketball, and then I just hear like the craziest, like most joyful fucking, you know, like scream of accomplishment, like yeah, yeah. And I see him like pumping his hands in the air. It's like, oh shit, this guy actually got that fucking stump out finally, man.
That's crazy.
So that was my impression of the high school. It's just high school just seemed like is same shit we were doing, just way more intense.
Okay. When you told me that, what I was thinking of is like maybe it was like in a roundabout way. Maybe it was like they were trying to like groom the middle schoolers in a way because they knew the middle schoolers would walk in and see that behavior, then try and emulate the behavior because they think it's okay or like the right thing to do, right? And then
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, man. Like,
yeah.
that seems completely plausible. It's like, you know, like let the kids see what you're doing, and then maybe they'll start doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It didn't really catch on that hard in the middle school though. There's a couple of kids that did it, but it never really caught on that hard.
Okay. How long were you there until before they put you through your first profi?
I can't really remember how long I was there for. I had to have been at least like a month or two.
Okay.
Had to have at least been a month or two for sure. Um, yeah, it's weird when I reflect on all this stuff. My mind state at the time, like I listened to some of the other people that you've interviewed, and they're like so street smart at a young age, you know, like they know what the fuck is going on. They're like, dude, this shit ain't right. But like, I guess I kind of bought into them telling me that I was a bad kid, you know, and I thought that I deserved this punishment and this is what I was supposed to be doing. And yeah, I thought that by doing, you know, I trusted authority, I trusted grown-ups and stuff. And I thought by going through these profits, like I was really going to benefit myself and this was good for me. Yeah, and I never, even after I graduated and years after I graduated and I grew up and stuff, never really thought I had too many negative effects that came from CEDU. But in more recent years, when I've taken a closer look at certain behaviors that I have, certain interactions that I have with people, certain ways that I feel about myself, about certain things, and then I've heard other people on your podcast talk about the same thing. I'm just like, oh fuck, man, like maybe it did have some kind of effect on me like that.
Yeah, and I can relate. I didn't like I knew in the back of my mind that it was messed up, but like I didn't really believe it, and then like I didn't really like it didn't really like snap for me until like, you know, several years ago, but like it was a while after I got out of the program.
Yeah.
That, you know, before I started realizing, like, damn, that was torture. That was wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
How has it
Like,
affected you?
a couple ways. Like,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, it's okay. Oh, no, you're good. So the first thing that comes to mind is just in the way that I argue with people and I conversate with people. Like, people have always told me, like, dude, like, what's up with you raising your voice so quickly? Like, why are you so quick to, when you get in arguments, why are you so quick to raise your voice and start yelling? I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? I'm not yelling. And then after hearing that from a couple of different people, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Like, am I really doing that? And then yeah, it just kind of slapped me in the face one day. It's like, oh shit, like, that's the way we used to talk to each other. They told us was the right way to talk to each other when we had issues with each other in group same shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh wow, like, yeah, man, like, I could really see how that's affected me. And then the other thing that's really affected me, I think I naturally do it. Like, I've always naturally been kind of critical of myself. But CEDU, like, feel like it just kind of injected something into me and just amplified that like a million times. Like, I am really, really fucking mean to myself when I fuck up, and like, I'll picture it, and it'll make me cringe sometimes when I'll feel like so ashamed of real little shit where, like, if someone else made the same mistake, they just blow it off and they go on with their life. But I'll find things and pick at them and really, really beat the shit out of myself for them. Tell myself that, all sorts of bad things, and I'm a bad person because of the simple mistake that I made. I really think that's a result of being at CEDU. And the other thing, I don't know, it sounds kind of like I don't know, it sounds kind of woo-woo saying this, but I feel like, at least my experience at CEDU, it it showed me, it kind of like, so how do I say it? It rewarded me for, like, killing my spirit. And the way I mean that is, like, those kids that would run away and talk back and stuff like that, I had always had kind of an admiration for them, because I was also scared to do that. And I was scared to do that because I'd see the punishments that would happen to them. And I would just fall in line and I wouldn't stand up and fight for myself. And I knew it was wrong. I knew certain things were wrong about it, and I just kind of let it happen. And I think that program rewards, like, a weak spirit, just fucking submit to the authority, do what you're fucking told. Okay, you could have some privileges now. Oh, you're doing good now. You're doing good now that you've submitted. And yeah, I that's probably the thing that bothers me the most about it. Like, it's like I'm aware of that now, and I feel like it should be my responsibility to do something about those types of situations when they pop up. But at the same time, yeah, I feel like I could kind of trace it back to that.
Okay. Do you feel guilty at all?
For what?
Well, just like kind of like bouncing off of what you just said, like just not like realizing
Still?
that it was wrong at the time. Like, do you feel?
No, not right. Like, I'm not beating myself up over that. Like, the stuff I beat myself up over are stuff not related to CEDU. But as far as me not making the right decision, or me not standing up for myself or whatever, while I was there, no, I don't hold it against myself too much.
Okay. And what was the hardest part about you being there, and how did you deal with it?
The hardest part about being there was definitely um, being disconnected from my friends. At that point in my life, I didn't have anyone, man. Like my parents were gone. My sister was on the other side of the fucking country. My adopted guardians didn't seem to fucking want me, and all I had were my fucking friends, dude. They were the people that I could turn to that would make me smile and make me happy, and I felt like I was accepted around them. I didn't feel like I had to act a certain way or behave or any. I could just be me around them, and cutting my connection with them, yeah, that fucked me up for a little bit. Is really hard for me to deal with. I cry about it a lot when I go to sleep over there.
Okay. What was the how many profits would you have to how would you graduate? Like what was the
It was basically progressing through the level system. The level system was as such. There's level A, which was for admissions, and you have A1, A2, A3. You could move up from A1 to A2 within a week as long as you have good behavior. So in theory, you should be able to get up to level 4 within what, 12 weeks? That never happens. So they don't want they don't want you gone in 12 weeks. So that's basically what it is you progress through the level system as you go through each level, or as you graduate to the next level. There's a profit that you have to go through, and yeah, that's as far as I know, that's the way it was. But with me, since my peer group dissipated, they kind of broke the rule a little bit for me.
Okay.
It made me do the same ones over again.
Do you know if there were differences in like the requirements for graduation at the middle school versus the high school? Do you know if they were different?
Mm, I'm not too sure. I'm not
Okay.
too sure what their requirements were. They had us do some classes, but that shit was a fucking joke, dude. Like that's another thing that I think that I was pretty upset with when I look back on it, is just how it just did not prepare me for fucking high school at all, man. Like not for the educational aspect, not for the social aspect, nothing. I was going into high school just not prepared for, you know, the mind fuck that it is for a lot of teenagers, you know.
Did you guys did schooling there, right? Self-taught?
Yeah, they had teacher. I guess you could call them teachers. I'm not sure what their credentials were, but we do some school. We like, yeah, in the mornings, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we would have our classes. Excuse me. In the morning, basic math, basic English. They do science. Science was a make a paper airplane today class, and let's see who throws it the furthest, or let's go collect some pine cones and identify them. Like nothing really beneficial to actual educate, you know, the actual education system that you're supposedly getting ready to go back into.
Did you get any credits when you were there? Like, did any of the credits?
Yeah, I did get credits. I from what I hear, from listening to other people, I think that only worked in California. If you came from out of state, then your credits were worth fuck all, you know, were worth shit. You gotta do your shit all over again. But
Yeah.
I didn't have to. I was able to go into high school.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Okay. What was there any sort of like what did they do for graduation? Like when you graduated, did they have any like ceremony for that?
Yeah, yeah, they play Chariots of Fire. You have your parents and all the kids sitting in this little is right in front of the high school. There's like a little stage they had there. I believe is right next to the pool. little grass area, and they have you go up, and each one of the students graduating says some kind of motivational speech for what they learned about the program and how they're so sure they're gonna do well when they hit the outside world. And a couple of staff members will come up and say some bullshit about the students. I don't think they really believed either. And then that was it. It wasn't really too long from what I remember. I remember I gave some kind of a speech. I don't remember what the fuck I said, but yeah, I remember I had to give some kind of a speech. I remember someone's parents came up to me and they're like, "Oh, we're so proud of you. We think you're going to do great out there." And there's this really embarrassing moment right afterwards, right where when I was about to, I used to like playing basketball when I was there, and I should have taken this as a fucking sign. But after graduation, before I left, I was like, "Okay, guys, this is gonna be, I want to leave the school on a good note. Let's sink one last 3-pointer before I go." And there's a bunch of kids there. First one, fucking miss the next one, and then one of them goes in by accident. It banks off the backboard. But no, that one doesn't count because I wasn't trying to do that. And then it was so sad. Like all the staff members and the students slowly started walking away. And I don't think I ever fucking sunk that shot, man. And
that's crazy.
It was kind of a foreshadowing for what my my immediate future after CEDU was gonna fucking look like.
That's crazy, bro. That's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
How did they have you make any sort of like life contract or like essentially a program at home for after you got home?
Not that I could remember. I think they gave, they might have given us some shit like that, but honestly, like the second I got home, fuck, man, I remember when I left, I loved all the kids there and I wanted to write to them, but right when I got home, I was just like, I never wrote back. I never called. I was never there when they would call and want to talk to me. There was another girl that went to CEDU that tried to call me, and I told her I don't know why. I look back in this and I'm like, why is I so fucking mean to her? But I remember telling her like, don't fucking call me. I don't ever want to fucking talk to anyone from CEDU again. Get the fuck away, like lose my number. And yeah, I remember even after saying that, I can remember fucking kind of regretting it. But that was just my initial immediate reaction for whatever reason. So any type of CEDU stuff that they gave me is done. Like the second I got out, I just kind of wanted to move past it, I guess.
Okay.
Although I did save. I had this shoebox that had all these. After you do a profi, you know how they write you they make these little cards and stuff and say all sorts of fucking nice things for you, and some of the more artistic kids will fucking cut shapes out and make it look all pretty and stuff. So I had a whole bunch of that stuff saved, and I would look at it from time to time. But when it came to reconnecting with most of the old kids from the school, I didn't try to keep in contact with. There was one kid though I did keep in contact with that I graduated with at the time, and I don't. He's one of those kids. I don't even think he needed to be there, man. Like his parents were, I don't know, lazy. They didn't want to deal with this kid that was maybe not getting along with kids as well as they wanted him to. But he wasn't a bad kid at all or nothing. He was really aware of stuff over at the school, and yeah, I kept up with him for a little while. But then I at the end of high school, I got kicked out of my uncle's house, and I lost contact with him. I was never able to find him again after that.
Okay. What was the worst thing you witnessed or heard about when you were there?
There's a couple of things, man. I'll go through them.
Okay.
I'll start with the smaller stuff, and then I'll move on to the more. I mean, it's all pretty serious, but there is a, I don't want to use his name,
You
but
know,
there's a kid that got sent there, and he had this condition called delayed puberty. So he's actually 16, but he looked like a 12-year-old, and he just seemed like a normal kid. He's adopted. He's from Idaho, and he seemed normal. He was just some quiet kid with glasses, and I guess he had that disability or a physical condition. And he was my roommate for a little while. Didn't really have any problems with him or anything. And that friend I was just telling you about a second ago that I kept in contact with, I wasn't friends with him yet because it's his first day, right? So this kid, it's his first day, and we're on farm duty. And my friend that I kept in contact with, no, I think first names should be okay, right? I won't use the last names.
yeah, first
Um,
name is fine.
okay, so this kid Jamie, he's first morning there. They're having him feed the chickens, and he goes over to the chicken pen, and he finds two chickens completely skinned, flattened, and drowned, floating in the pool. And then he goes into the chicken coop, and he opens the door, and I don't know how many, but a bunch of little yellow cute baby chicks just fall because they're shoved into the door jamb and crushed there. Obviously he's like, dude, I could only imagine what the hell was going on in his head. Like, dude, what the fuck is this, man? Like, it's my first day here. I'm finding like dead chicken. What the hell is going on? So it took a little while for everyone to figure out what was going on. And then the other kid I was mentioning, we were in a RAPS group session, and that other kid I was mentioning, his name's Sean. He's in the hot seat, and all of a sudden he starts breaking down about when he is at home. He had an issue with abusing animals, and he drowned puppies and stuff like that. And then they asked him, are you the one that killed the chickens at the farm? I could even remember, he didn't say anything. He was crying and sobbing. I just remember his hands and his head was in his hands like this, and he just nodded his head yes like that. And then I remember this girl Rachel moved across the room, and she talked to him, and she's like, "Hey, what the fuck was that rock that you gave me the other day? You said it was a friendship rock." And then he's like, "Yeah, that was the rock that I used to skin the animals." So that was one of the pretty that was pretty heavy. And then there's more stuff that
What
kid did. Oh, go
what
on.
what happened to him after that?
He got
What
put on
was-
work assignment and,
Okay.
and a table. And he was on very, very close monitoring. He needed an escort everywhere he went.
Okay.
But it seemed like they worked with him. And then I don't want to use this other kid's name. I shouldn't be using Sean's name, but there's another instance. There's this poor little boy. He's about 9 years old. The previous week, he had gotten restrained. And when he got restrained, they took him down, face down. And the way that they used to do it is they would have you face down on the floor on your stomach, and then they would kind of sit on your butt, and they'd put their hands on your shoulders to keep you down. Well, when this poor kid got restrained, they put their hands on his shoulders, but they kind of pushed him, and he slid with his face against the carpet. So he got this nasty fucking carpet burn all over his face. And then literally a week after that happened, one of the staff members walked into one of the other dorms and found that kid Sean. He had the little boy stuffed into a little drawer, and he was fucking playing with him and stuff, straight up molesting him. And after that, both kids were never, I never saw either one of them ever again after that. That was
Where do you think they went?
they told, I think Clint went, oh, I'm sorry, I said, I think the little boy went back home. Who knows what happened to him afterwards? Man, I hope the best for him. Like that must have been a fucking rough ass 2 weeks, man. And the other boy, Sean, they said that they took him out and they put him into some kind of higher security treatment place. I don't know where it was. They never gave us a name, but that's what they told us.
Do you think it could have been a scent?
No,
or something?
they didn't send him. Yeah, it was they were or Northwest Academy. Yeah, I don't know where he got sent, but the interesting is, I talk to my friends about all this kind of stuff all the time, and I told my friends the story, and some of my friends like looking people up and stuff like that, and they actually found that other kid. Like, it sounds like it's him over in the state where he lived at, and turns out like he had like recent battery charges, and he just went to prison, or he went to jail for it or something like that. So doesn't seem like a lot's too much changed, and I wonder like what kind of a person he developed into. I hope, hope it's not as bad as I think it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I also wonder where he went afterwards and what he witnessed or potentially did it, where he went after that,
Yeah.
That, I mean, if he's still doing that to this day, like what more did he see and what more did he do,
Exactly. I wouldn't know, and I'm not not about to try to contact him and ask him about it either. So
yeah,
guess we'll all be kind of wondering. And then there's this the last one, the last bad thing that I wanted to talk about. The story I think a lot of people are familiar with whenever they hear about CEDU. There were kids that went missing while in the mid-90s, or throughout the 90s. Three boys, John Inman, Blake Pursley, Daniel Ewan. And Blake Pursley was I was at the school when he went there. I remember a lot of it. I remember a lot of them. So I'll tell you the story that I've been telling ever since I was younger. I'd tell the story to people when they'd ask me. I've been telling this story since I went to the school. New kids would get there, they'd ask me about running away, or new staff members would get there and they'd ask me, ask about kids running away, and I tell them like it's kind of a hopeless cause, like there's no point to it. Like they all fucking catch everyone, except for this one kid. There's this kid named Blake that they supposedly they never caught him. So Blake was he's from Colorado, and his story, it's kind of important to know a little bit about his background. It's important because of what the official story is that everyone likes repeating these days. His story starts off when he's in Colorado. He's a 4-year-old baby, and his parents owned a farm. And at farms, I guess they have this stuff called a cow dip. It's a fluid that they literally dip the livestock into, and it kills all the parasites and insects that are on them. And I don't know how the fuck this happened, but poor Blake was 4 years old, and he found his way over to one of these tubs of cow dip, and he fucking falls in that shit. And he almost drowns in it. So obviously his respiratory system and his nervous system are going to be severely damaged after inhaling and breathing and almost dying in a tub full of fucking cow pesticides and shit. So the right side of his body, I don't know if this is due to, I'm guessing it's due to this. The right side of his body didn't grow as quick as his left side. So I think his right leg was a little shorter. His right arm was like this. And he had a real, like, you could hear him wheezing. And literally, like, it was that tone, like that's what it sounded. I still hear it in my head. Like I could hear him. I could hear his foot dragging, and I could hear him breathing when he'd come up and when he'd be approaching and stuff. So his parents sent him over there. I didn't like. They told us that, I don't know. He would get in arguments with his mom, and that's why he was at the school. I just thought it was kind of weird seeing some kid with some serious physical disabilities, going to school. And I wondered, like, what kind of fucking problems could he be causing at home? But whatever, he was admitted to the school, and
Sorry, I just had to.
okay, no, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. I remember, and I remember, he was really aware of his situation. Like, he would make fun of himself sometimes and goof around about it. And I remember there was a pull-up bar in front of the summit building that we were at. And I used to like doing pull-up. I used to think I was so cool because I could do more pull-ups than the other students. And then Blake freaking comes over and he grabs the pull-up bar with his left arm. He pulls himself up. He starts doing one-handed pull-ups. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And then there's this other time I was shooting baskets, and same thing. You hear him coming a mile away, dragging his foot. And he's like, hey, let me see the basketball. And I was like, okay. And he sinks his first shot with his left hand. He's like, wow, that's crazy, man. So he disappeared one day, and this is the way he disappeared, as I remember it. And this is a story that I told everyone. So I remember waking up in the morning, going down to eat breakfast at the Alpine building. It's a Monday, and after we had breakfast, our family was on farm duty. So the family on farm duty is supposed to go down the farm, feed the animals. After you feed the animals, you check in with staff and go back up to the summit building, and you meet up you have a little bit of free time, and then you have your first light meeting. First light's like that morning meeting where you're setting the tone for the day, you're going around the room, saying your goals, all that bullshit. And I remember I'm at the farm. I just finished my duties. I went to go check in with one of the staff members. I was like, hey, I'm all done. Can I go up to the summit building for first light? And like, yeah, that's fine. Do you know where Blake is? I don't know. I think he's over there feeding the chickens, or feeding the rabbit, or the feeding the chickens, or the sheep. But I didn't see him or anything. And I'm like, okay. So I go back up to the summit building and get into the first light, and I notice like the staff members like kind of starting to panic a little bit, and they come in again like, hey, any of you guys seen Blake? No one's seen him. And then I remember them asking me, because I'm pretty sure I was on level 2 or level 3 at the time, so I didn't need an escort, and I was one of the more physically active kids. So they're like, hey, can you go, run around, go check the trail. There's a trail that goes behind the high school, up this big hill behind these radio towers, and ends up in the forest. So like, yeah, sure. Like I ran at me, and I think someone else came with me. We ran, looked for him, didn't find him. A little while later, search and rescue shows up, maybe later on in the afternoon. And I specifically remember them going up towards the hill where the radio towers were at. And I remember thinking, like, why the fuck are you guys looking up there? Like, I already looked up there. There's no way he would have gotten up there. Like, dude, he doesn't move fast. Like, I don't know how he could have lost track of him. And the last place he was at was the farm. Why the fuck are you guys looking up there? A couple days pass, and he still doesn't turn up. And I think it is another first light meeting, or it was a group. And I don't know if this is the family head, but one of the staff members tells us, okay, we think we have an idea of what happened to Blake. So Blake's parents were supposedly divorced, and one of the parents wanted Blake to be at the school, while the other parent didn't want Blake to be at the school. And they told us that they heard from someone. I don't know if I want to say, in my head, it says psychiatrist. I know for sure it was someone, I remember someone from over there meaning towards the admissions building towards the high school. I don't know if it's someone in the admin building that told them or whatever, but someone over there told them that they think that because Blake's parents were divorced and one of them didn't want him there, they think that they probably set something up for him to plan an escape. So that's what I thought. And that's the story I would tell. Every time someone would ask me, even after I left CEDU, that's the story I'd fucking tell. Why did you run away? Why don't kids run away? Oh, because you always get caught. But, you know, there was this kid, one kid named Blake, and I'd tell the exact same story I just fucking told you right now. And that's why I fucking believed all the way until 2017. So fast forward to 2017, I'm at work and I'm kind of excited because the weekend coming up, my friend's getting married. He's getting married at Santa's Village. It's up in the San Bernardino Mountains, and it's about 5-10 minutes away from where CEDU was. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like, I already knew CEDU was closed by that time. I didn't know all the synanon shit and all that. So I just knew it got closed down because it had a whole bunch of lawsuits against it or some shit. And I'm telling my my coworkers about CEDU. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of excited to go back up there. And they're like, what is this place? So I tell them all about it. You know, I start telling them about the rules and what my experience was like, and they don't believe me off the bat.
Of course.
You know how most normal people are. And then they thankfully 2017 we have cell phones and Google. They look it up on Google, and the first fucking thing that comes up is an article about 3 missing kids from CEDU. And my friend Stephanie at work is like, okay, did you know some kid named Blake? I was like, yeah, fucking Blake Parsley. And she's like, no, Blake Parsley. Yeah, same shit, same guy. Shows a picture. Yeah, that's fucking him. I was like, what? They never fucking found him? And she's like, no, they never found him. And, you know, it goes into the article and starts telling all this stuff about these kids that went missing there. And I'm just like, shit, like, they told us this completely fabricated story. And the other part that bothers me was that there's no fucking mention of that in the story that was in those newspaper articles. And not only that, but the story that's in the newspaper articles, it says that he went missing the night fucking before. They saw him at the farm turning off a light in the evening. First of all, we were never in the fucking farm Sunday nights. We were never in the farm in the evening, period. We weren't supposed to fucking go down there late. So what the fuck is all this shit about Blake being at the farm late at night? That's not a possibility. Why would he be there? And then there's another part of the story where one of the staff members is saying that they saw another staff member, or they saw Blake running, and they saw another staff member running after him. Running? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like, it only would have taken you like no more than 30 seconds to catch this kid if you fucking saw him running. If you're a normal person, you could be an old person too. You just gotta be able to fucking walk, man. There's no way this kid's fucking getting away from you. And if he gets away from you, there's no way you're not gonna fucking hear him. He breathes so fucking loud, dude. You could hear him come. You could hear him drag his foot, and you could hear him fucking breathe. So what is all this bullshit? And then the staff member that they accused of fucking running after him, turns out that he's saying that never fucking happened. So you have all these accounts, fucking, they're all conflicting each other. And not only are they all conflicting each other, they're conflicting the memory that I have of everything happening the next fucking day. It doesn't make sense for him to go missing the night before, right? And then for the police and search and rescue teams to show up the next fucking day in the afternoon. If he went missing the night of, the cops would have shown up that night. They would have fucking called them. But why is it saying that the report was made the next day and then they didn't show up and until later on? That doesn't make any sense. It would make sense if he went missing in the morning, right? Because then the time frame, that's way more logical time frame. So I saw that and it bothered me because I like I guess I should say, like, there have been instances in my life where I'm so fucking sure about a memory. And then as it turns out, maybe I was a little bit off with it. But this one in particular, I've been telling this fucking story forever, man. I've been telling it, like I said, I've been telling it since I went to the school. And that moment when I found out that he's still missing, and not only was he still missing, but the story that these fucking people responsible for him were giving was a fucking lie. Like, and then what? And then nothing, man. Nothing happened about like I know that there are people that started digging stuff up, and there's the whole Lost Kids podcast, and I listened to all of that, and it's just so disappointing that something bad really had. That wasn't a fucking accident, man. That was something really bad. I don't know what the fuck it was. I don't know how sinister it was, but something bad happened, and people did bad shit, and they fucking lied about it, and they got away with it. And it makes me sick to my stomach, because fucking, like, what the fuck did they keep this kid alive for? Like, what the fuck did God keep this kid on this fucking planet for? Like, he almost drowns in a vat of fucking poison, and then his parents send him to this fucking place, and then what? Like, what the fuck happens? So he just disappears? That shit, it's disappointing, man. And it really makes my stomach turn, knowing that someone did something fucking wrong here, and more than likely they're gonna fucking get away with it. I hate it, dude. I fucking hate it.
Is he the only one that's gone missing?
There were two other kids, but I don't want to speak of the other two kids, because I don't know anything about them. There was John Inman, and honestly, like, it doesn't seem like anyone knows anything about that kid. And then there's Daniel Ewan, and for any information on Daniel Ewan, you could just listen to the Lost Kids podcast. It's an excellent fucking detailed story about what happened, and how the police and stuff dealt with it, and how former staff members felt about it. Like, all the information you need on Daniel's there. It's a fucked up ass situation too, dude. That's obvious fucking lying there too. It's terrible, man.
What do you think happened?
I have
Like,
no
if you had
idea,
to guess,
dude.
if you had to guess.
I don't know, man. I like, the last thing I want to do is put out some kind of crazy fucking idea, because I know that people were genuinely looking at this stuff and really trying to figure out what happened. And I don't want to contaminate that by putting out some crazy theory, and this guy has a good memory of what happened. I don't know. I'll tell you what I don't think happened. I don't think he fucking ran away. I know he didn't fucking run away. There's no fucking way. There's no way he successfully ran away. I should say. There's no way he got away from staff members. Like, not a chance. Not a fucking chance in hell, dude. But what happened to him? I don't know. I've heard people float around the idea that maybe he was maybe a staff member restrained him too hard, or something like that, and maybe he was killed by accident because he has a serious medical condition. I don't know, dude. I don't want to start coming up with crazy crackpot theories and stuff about what happened. But I will say that the official story, the story that the newspapers and whoever the authorities were in charge of the cases, whoever were the staff members were, they're all full of shit. And they know something, and they're lying about it.
I'm gonna pose a question on my Facebook tonight and ask straight up, like, does anybody know about any other boarding schools where people have went missing or just disappeared from?
Yeah, sure. I think that brings up good conversation.
Because if there
Yeah.
are, then I have a working theory. If there's multiple schools that are doing this, then I think I don't
What's your
know
what do you think about this?
what.
What's your theory?
Honestly, I don't even feel safe saying what my theory
Okay.
is.
Okay. No, don't say it then. We could talk
I'll
about it off
talk to
air.
you. I'll talk to you about it off
Sure.
recording.
Sure.
But
I appreciate it.
yeah, I just don't really feel safe. If what I think is going on, then people are listening, and I don't really, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary to think of, and that's the thing too. Like, crazy shit happens in this world, man. Like, the like, sometimes some people think something and it happened a certain way, and it looks like it happened a certain way, and then you end up finding out like, whoa, like no, it didn't happen that way. It happened a completely different way. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay. And then okay, so was that we got a little so we started talking about Blake, and then was that the second thing that was that the only other
So I
thing?
think those were three. There was the kid that that was killing the animals, and then he molested a kid while he's at school, and then Blake going missing.
Okay.
Yeah, those were definitely the one, like, as far as like crazy shit happening in school. Those, yeah, that stuff is the stuff that sticks out. I have a whole bunch of other memories of stuff that happened there, but it's way more lighthearted, not as fucking heavy as that stuff.
Okay. Was there anything positive about your experience at all? Do you think you gained
Yeah.
anything from being there? And if so, what do you think?
Um, let's see. Uh, when I was that age, like I was a very gullible, impressionable little kid, and I was looking for any type of a fucking role, any type of a male role model, and I wasn't like, they could be, I just have to think they're cool for whatever reason. Oh yeah, he's cool because he's good at basketball. Okay, I want to be just like him. And then he ends up being like a gang member and stuff like that. Okay, whatever, like, oh, that must be cool too. That's the type of personality I had as a kid. And well, I don't want to justify CEDU and say that as a good place or anything, but I do know what kind of a personality I had at that time. And I do think that I could have gotten mixed in with the wrong crowd at that age, and really made things a lot more difficult for myself. So yeah, but at the same time, or not, like, or maybe I could have possibly found a better way, met someone and they teach me some way to deal with my problems better, and I end up having a great life. It could have went that way. You just never know these things, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I feel like that was kind of a positive aspect of it. And then there's this other, it's not really a deep thing. It's just like I have how do I get it? How do I lead into this? So when I went to CEDU, you had to look for little things to do to have fun. And I remember there's this kid named James and another kid named Simon that had one of those radio flyer wagons. And we used to have to make trails, and the trails would go down these hills.
Oh,
And
sick.
James, James, freaking take Simon's. Simon was this kid with, well, little kid with a, I don't know if he had crazy learning disabilities and stuff too. And I remember he had this radio flyer. You know what radio flyers are, right? Those little red
Yeah.
wagons with a handle,
Yeah.
and had like those wooden fences on the side.
Oh,
And he's
nice.
like, "Hey, let's use this thing to go down this hill." And it's like, I don't, the fences kind of mess it up, and he just kind of plopped into it and broke the fences off. It's like, dang, dude, it's like, you just broke this poor kid's freaking radio flyer, man. But we needed something to play with, so whatever, like he could still use it. So we made this trail, and then James was like, I think you could steer with this thing, you know? And he would fucking, he had me push him, and he went down. The trail was a little twisty and stuff, and he fucking steered down. I was like, oh shit, you could do that. That's fucking cool, man. So I did it, and it was just this cool sensation. And being on top of a fucking mountain, anytime we'd go on a field trip somewhere or something like that, we had to go up and down the mountain. And I remember being in the van, and or in a staff member's car when they take us on smaller field trips. I remember we'd be going down the mountain, and every now and then a car would go around us, and it would be going faster than what we were going. And the staff member would all say something like, "Oh man, what's wrong with these guys? They're crazy, you know, like they're going to end up killing themselves going so fast down this." And in my head, I would think about that fucking radio flyer, and then I'd see this car, and I was like, oh man, that's the coolest shit ever, man. Like, it looks scary as fuck. And I don't know if I'd ever be able to do that. I don't even know how people steer these things, you know, but I would fucking love to do that, something like that, when I got older. And when I got older, after high school, I met some friends that were into cars, and they loved doing that shit, man. They fucking went up to mountains super late at night, and they'd take their cars up, and they would drive like complete fucking maniacs going down the mountain super fucking fast, man. And it just brought back all those memories. I was like, man, like that's so crazy, dude. I remember thinking about this kind of stuff when I was fucking at CEDU, and then now I'm like, people really do this. This is fucking cool, man. And I got really deep into it, and I made some of the best friends I've ever made in my entire life. So many experiences doing that shit. Lots of wasted money, but it's been more of a positive than a negative in my life, I think. And I don't know if I ever would have gotten into that shit if James didn't fucking steal Simon's little radio flyer for us to play with that day. So that's cool. It's kind of a silly story. I don't know if that's exactly why, but it's kind of a connection. As far as other positive stuff, like I guess I'm kind of in touch with my emotions. I understand my feelings better and stuff like that. But the world isn't very kind to emotionally conscious males, especially. And sometimes I think it gets in the way. Like sometimes I think I feel too much about stuff instead of just fucking just saying just toughening up and doing shit. So I think there are pluses and minuses to that. I met people while I was there. I had certain relationships with people that I was there, that even though I wasn't able to keep up with some of them that well. Yeah, I still valued the friendships that I had while I was there, because that's all I had, man. Like again, I didn't have my family or anything, so any type of friends that I could make along the way were the most valuable things to me on the planet.
Okay. And what do you think would have helped you instead of being sent away?
I think more oh, fuck, man, it's just like, given my like, if I had a normal family with a dad and stuff like that, I'd say having a relationship with my dad where he's teaching me how to do shit. Doesn't matter what the fuck it is, you know. It doesn't matter if it's how to do laundry or how to do an oil change or how to cook something. Just developing a bond with my dad and learning, you know, just how to be a person, having him teach me stuff like that. I think that would have been super fucking useful, man. I think that would have really helped. And maybe since after I moved in with my uncle, maybe that would have benefited too with him. But I think it's also like kind of like a weird expectation for me to have of him. Like I don't know, I'm not his blood, I'm not his son, and he might not feel that kind of connection to me. And even though he agreed to take me under his custody, like it's still asking a lot of someone that isn't your biological father. So I think that would have helped. And as I've gotten older, I learned that for me in particular, and I would definitely recommend this to anyone else. Like, just give it a try. It might not work for you, but it worked for me. It really helps for me, and it is like very, very, very difficult physical conditioning exercises, activity, whatever, whether it be running up a fucking tall ass hill or doing some kind of crazy contact sport. I got into martial arts, Muay Thai and boxing and stuff, and that stuff. Again, for me personally, it's not for everyone, but that stuff it helped me find something inside myself that I feel like CEDU kind of killed a little bit. Like, I was saying earlier about how CEDU kind of destroys your spirit. Like, I feel like when I got into that stuff, it forced me to rediscover that spirit. And then there's something about pushing yourself to your physical limit when you're breathing heavy and your body just doesn't want to do shit anymore, and pushing past it and just going and going until you fucking get to the goal that you set for yourself, whether it be the top of the hill or whatever. When you get to the top of that fucking hill, the feeling of accomplishment and euphoria, it's hard to describe and until you do something like that yourself. It feels great, and all that shit that you carry around with yourself, it gets released, man. At least for me, it did. It does. And I think if someone introduced me to that type of a thing when I was younger, like pushing myself hard physically and stuff, getting into a martial art where it teaches you to be brave, but then be respectful and not be a bully and stuff like that. I think those types of things would have really helped me a lot. I wonder if I was mature enough to do things like that, but I think it would have clicked with me eventually. So yeah, I think martial arts and physical activity, and a relationship with the parent or guardian are very, very important to prevent, to do instead of sending your kids away.
Okay.
I think also, to expand on my thoughts on that a little bit more too, like it's not always the case, but some kids are like, as fucked up as it sounds, man, like some kids I think were like legit better off being at CEDU, man. Like, some of these parents are fucking monsters, or they're just ridiculously irresponsible, and worse things are going to happen to the kids at home. And it sucks to say that, because bad things, I'm not saying, like fucking good things are going to happen at CEDU if you send that's not what I'm saying. But sometimes there's like crazy abuse going on at home, and maybe putting distance between the parent and child is the right thing. It varies from individual to individual, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you could go in a time machine and not go through CEDU, knowing what you know now, would you do it, and why?
Nah, fuck no, dude. There's a lot of that. I'd say probably about 90% of my life. Yeah, about 90% of my life, I don't regret it, man. Like, it's helped me come to the realizations that I have today, and I'm not saying like I'm enlightened or anything like that, but I'm content with my perception of what the world is today, and I don't know if I would have arrived at this point if my life went any other way. That being said, there are other things in my life that I've done that I definitely fucking regret, but I don't think CEDU is one of them. As weird as that sounds, it's been a part of me, and it's led me to these other things. And I was just talking about my silly canyon racing hobby. If it was between me going to CEDU and me never developing an interest for racing cars on a mountain, I'll go to CEDU every fucking time, man. Like, I definitely love that stuff. And I would have gone through a lot of stuff to arrive at that, that point where I could find my way to doing that. I think that's another thing. Going back to one of your last questions, I think that's helpful too, is just finding something that you love doing, man. Like something that you could really put your soul into and you could watch yourself progress in. Like finding an activity that you're fucking passionate about and you love is so important to keeping your kids away from places like that. Like if you could get your kid into something like that, I think that's you're halfway there to keeping them out of schools like CEDU or any other place. Yeah.
Okay. And what happened after you got back home? Did you struggle a lot?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I struggled like crazy, dude. High school was, man, I was always like a year behind in fashion. Like the first year, like everyone's wearing like baggy clothes and stuff like that. And then, you know, certain brands, and summer would come around and I'd buy that shit. And then fucking, I just wouldn't fit, like I wasn't good at fitting in with high school. And it's just kind of weird. And I didn't do good. And I didn't do good academically because I wasn't prepared for that kind of a fucking workload whatsoever. Like all that homework they're giving me, like, what the fuck is this shit, man? Like I didn't have to do this stuff for like the last 2 years. What do you mean I gotta fucking work on this shit for like 3 hours, 4 hours a night? And then I like when I started slipping behind in my grades, my uncle started getting pissed and home life started deteriorating again. I got into some arguments with my aunt and my uncle. And then you're gonna love this, man. I got and there are these Korean gangster kids that were at my school, and me and my friend were hanging out at this place, and we came across these Korean gangster kids. They kind of punked me and my friend into holding a baseball bat for them because they wanted to beat some guy up with it, just in case. And then they were about to fight this guy, and then cops came, and then everyone got scared and ran, and I couldn't run fast because I had this fucking bat in my pants. And mind you, I wasn't a gangster, and they just made me hold on to it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, hold on to it, else we're gonna kick your ass. So cops show up. I don't get away. I get arrested. I totally rat out those other guys for fucking doing that. Cause man, fuck you, you know, like the hell is that shit? Fucking so yeah, I totally rat them out. And then my uncle picks me. It's a familiar situation. It reminds me all the way back to that moment in 6th grade where my uncle picked me up from the sheriff's station. And I just remember getting in the car. He's fucking quiet as hell. And on the way home, he's like, Nick, you're going back to CEDU. I was like, no fucking way, dude. That's not happening. No way, dude. So I didn't sleep the whole night because I was scared, you know, like they were gonna come in and fucking take me. And they didn't come. So I woke up a little earlier than everyone, made sure everyone was in the house was still in bed. I didn't wake. I just got up out of my room a little earlier than everyone. I go in the backyard, pretend to shoot around with the basketball, and every now and then you shoot the basketball and it bounced off the rim the wrong way, and it bounced into the neighbor's yard, so you have to jump over the fence. So I kind of made it do that purposefully, and I just dipped the fuck out, man. I was like, no way, no fucking way are you sending me back over to that shit. And I stayed at he's still one of my best friends today, dude. I stayed over at his house for about a week. It's actually during spring break. This was right before spring break. So all spring break, I stayed over at my friend's house. And I remember at the end of spring break, they're like, Nick, you know, his parents were like, Nick, you got to go back to your aunt. No, you can't stay here anymore. You know, this is our family. You have to go back to your family. So I called my uncle, and then I don't know, some creative force or God or whatever was looking out for me, because out of nowhere, my grandma used to live in the Philippines. I didn't know she was coming out anytime soon, but randomly my grandma decided to fucking come out and visit the family. And she heard about my uncle wanting to fucking send me away and stuff. And she's like, nah, no fucking way. You're not sending him away. Like I'm here. I want to be with my grandkids. You don't say, you're not sending him anywhere. So he's like, okay. And then he took me back home and we had dinner. I remember after dinner, my uncle sat me down. He's like, you're going to be 18 in a year. So just keep it together until then. And I kind of kept it together until then, but right before, I graduated high school, I got kicked out of my uncle's. Me and my uncle almost got into a fist fight. I got kicked out again, and I got kicked out of school for some other shit. And man, these are all stories that will take hours to go through, and it's not really CEDU related or anything. I could tell you about them some other time. They're funny stories, but yeah, I don't need to go into them. But I struggled for a while. And then I started kind of getting my shit together a little bit in my 20s. And then I struggled again. I fell pretty hard again. And it wasn't until a couple like breakups and growing up a little bit more till I got into my 30s, making some big mistakes that I regret. It wasn't until then where I decided to start doing, getting into more physical stuff, and that's where I feel like made such a huge change for me. But yeah, it was a struggle after CEDU. It wasn't, and it's not like I have all my shit together now. I still struggle with a lot of stuff, but compared to some of the points I was at in my life before this, maybe in the last 20 years, like I should be proud of myself for pulling myself out of the bullshit that I was in before.
Okay. What do you struggle with the most, like recently, or like to this day? Like, what do you struggle with the most? And then also, did you ever get into any hard drugs?
I struggle with, I still struggle with my self-esteem and beating myself up, forgiving myself. Yeah, that's been a struggle. I feel like when I remind myself, like, hey, you're not that person anymore. Everyone makes mistakes, and as long as you learn from it and you're moving forward, there's no point in feeling sorry for yourself over making these mistakes anymore. There's no good. Literally, you're literally wasting your time by feeling sorry for yourself. So I try not to do it. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Oh, hard drugs.
Yeah.
Hard drugs. I still smoke weed. I smoke a ton of weed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything serious.
I don't count that.
After high school, I started getting into that. That was like late 90s, and that's when fucking raves were getting big. Ecstasy was fucking huge. Acid was huge. I had a friend like right down the street from the friend's house that I was staying at. He used to always have fucking vials of acid on him. So I do lots of acid, lots of ecstasy. I had a incident where I took like 6 hits of liquid acid, and then I ended up waking up in a fucking hospital in my underwear with a sheet and leather restraints and stuff. And the doctor ended up letting me go, and he wrote this doctor's order note: stop using drugs in big bold letters.
That's hilarious.
As far as that's about the most serious drugs I did. Like, I dated a girl for a little bit. She liked doing cocaine. I did it once, and I fucking hated shit going up my nose. And to me, it just felt like drinking like 3 cups of coffee, and I felt like a little bit too talkative and chattery and like self-conscious. So I wasn't into that. I had never looked at meth or anything like that, because like, you don't eat and you don't sleep, and those are 2 of my favorite things to do. So
yeah.
those things, that one never caught my eye. I've done shrooms. I feel like psychedelics on done in moderation with good intentions. I think they're good. Like, I these days, if I do shrooms or acid, I'm not doing shrooms or acid to like, trip out and like have that kind of experience. It's always like a deeper inner learning experience and exploring the universe that opens up when you fucking close your eyes, dude. Whatever the fuck that shit is, like when you close your eyes and it's like this expansive, weird, fucking crazy place. Like, that's why I like doing that stuff and exploring that and exploring the thoughts and stuff that come into my mind when I do that. But and I've tried DMT after that. I've tried DMT too. but yeah, those are the hard drugs that I've tried.
Okay.
But I don't think those are bad. My personal
No.
opinion. You could do them irresponsibly.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
there are people that do them in the wrong setting and they're asking for it. Like I was when I woke up in the hospital. But yeah, I think like if you do them with good intention, I don't think there's anything wrong with that kind of shit.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep. Okay. Well, is there anything more you want people to know about your experience or anything that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
Um, what would I want to tell a parent before sending a kid to a place like that? Uh, if you're a good if it's a good parent and you feel like you're a good parent, you love your kid, don't fucking do that shit. Figure it out. You're a capable human being. There's resources out there. There's help that you know that you could turn to for people, but it's not other people's responsibility to raise your child. If that's yours, you made that when you decide to have sex with whoever the other person was. Like that's the responsibility that you're fucking accepting. And yeah, like you turning away from them and sending them to places like this already in itself is you're abandoning them, and that's the what's the word, the hurt that you're putting on them from doing something like that is pretty serious. Now if the parent's a piece of shit and they're like, okay, get them away from you, you know, like get away from that kid. Someone else, hopefully someone else person. I think that yeah, you gotta freaking tough it out and figure it out with your kid. Learn how to do things together. You know, do activities together and bond. Learn together. That's create an awesome bond with each other.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you ever want to do a part 2, let me know, because I know after I do these interviews with people, stuff usually comes up. So
Yeah,
if that happens, just take some notes and we'll do a part 2 and we'll make it happen. And with that being said, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye,
awesome.
everybody.